Welcome back to the channel. Don't mind me while I throw another block of ice on the fireplace because it is hot. It has become miserable hot even early in the day during fishing. So I thought that I would take a break of a standard episode and review what's actually been working given these temperatures that we've been seeing and the water temperature racing up to 90, 92 degrees during the day, and pretty much fishing is just over at noon. So we're going to talk about a 1-2 punch that when things get tough, we sometimes can make things more complex. We have to find some mystery solution. But actually, this is going to go back to some very basic, simplified techniques that are working. These are ones that I've seen and I've transitioned to, and that some of my fishing buddies, and we have been very successful all the way through May, June, July with the warm-up, transitioning to this 2-stage simple strategy. And you're kind of on the water at 5 a.m., you're off the water 11:30, heading back to the ramp, and all we're doing is top water and the jerk shad. Simple. So we're going to go through that here today. I'm going to go through that with a review of rigging and also the reasons why it would be beneficial to be doing it and when it would be beneficial to doing it. And I'm so convinced that about this that I'm going to do a subscriber giveaway. Earlier this month, I was invited to speak at one of the Salt Strong chapters in the Nature Coast about getting your fishing experiences on video and how to go about doing that and how to be efficient at it. And I actually won a door prize. I don't win anything, but I won a door prize. So I'm actually going to give this away because it's top water and it's jerk shads and it's rigging hooks. And it's going to give you a chance to win by being a subscriber. Sometime in the next week or so, I'll do a random drawing among my subscribers. And if you're in the United States where I can simply mail these to you, I'll mail them to you right away. Because I really believe strongly that these jerk shads are what you need to be throwing right now, and there's an effective way to hold bottom with these and follow those fish as they go down deep and try to stay cool. And top water in the morning when they're rising up to feed. So these two strategies, and we're going to go through that right now. And so stick around and give me your feedback, and make sure you like and subscribe so you can be part of the giveaway. So let's talk about this 1-2 punch in terms of the strategy. So we've left spring, we're squarely into summer. It's quickly getting hot, 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 and pretty much our day ends around 11:30 a.m. or 12 noon. And we just leave the fishing, head to the ramp, leave the rest of the waterways to the scallopers, jet skiers, and those who want to go to the sandbars. So we want to focus on that early morning, what I'm calling phase 1, that low light angle. We want to focus on top water. This has been working really well. In the last 2 months, pre-dawn topwater has been the jam. Topwater has a way of attracting those fish that are headed up in the morning towards the shallow water. And they're coming in from positions that are 3, 4, even sometimes 6 foot deep with grass. And they're headed up to the shallow edge to find that bait, to find that meal. So we want to take advantage of the fact that topwater works really well in low light settings. The low light angle is great for a sound and commotion based bait. So we want to position our vessel off into the 3 to 4 foot water and work our way slowly forward using top water as a strategy. Wade fishermen can make those bomb casts from bank into these same zones. You may adjust with the lure that makes more noise in terms of vibration. If there's a ripple on the water, a little bit stronger because of surface winds. You might go with something that makes even more of a commotion at the surface, a popper, something high pitched like a she-dog, or something with a resounding knock like the Apex topwater. But you might also need to work with something much more subdued, like a simple spook lure that just walks back and forth rhythmically and work your way up slowly, shallower as you go. Remember, the topwater bite is not always aggressive. We want to follow this pattern until you get to be around 9:30 and the sun is up, and then you can focus a little bit on going under the surface with your jerk shad. You can keep throwing top water all day long, obviously, but it's really productive in that phase 1, and it has been exceptionally productive in the last 2 months. Oh, oh, that's a bigger one. That's a bigger one. I'm throwing top water. This Top Dog Junior.
He don't want nothing.
He don't want nothing to do with it. He's gonna get off in a second. There you go. That's a good eater, I think. Oh look, I can use the new. Oh man, that's a big old trout. I thought that was like a 16er. Big old mustard mouth. I love this. Oh man, this is nice. 20 and a half. Finch tail 21. I don't keep one over 20. I don't keep one over 20. Gorgeous. Topwater trout. Gentle, gentle. All right, so let's talk about your topwater, right? So there's not much to say. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but there are a couple things that we can discuss here with topwater. Most of these that you see here are walk the dog lures. So these lures are designed, when you pull on them, you give them a straight pull, and then you push the rod tip back towards the lure, and then it curves off, and then it snatches back on the next tug, and it goes. So they walk the dog, they walk the lure down the lane. The big differences between these lures really are size, like the Top Dog or the Apex. These are incredibly good lures for when the fish are biting on an aggressive bite, and these are really great for snook. These are really great for larger redfish. In addition to these larger ones, you also have the Top Dog Junior, and you have the Rapala Skitter Walk. There's also the Skitter V. These are really great lures. I think when you have a fish that's a little bit more subdued, they don't want to target a giant lure. I was fishing this lure while my buddy was fishing this lure, and he was catching 2 to 1. I switched to a lure that was about the same size, and we evened up on our catch rate. So it really depends. You have to be, I was one of those people that just thought, who gives anything about these lures, that they're just looking at a silhouette on the water. There are times when color matters, there are times when size matters, there are times when these opaque lures matter, where they are basically casting a shadow and the fish is looking for a shadow overhead. And there's also times when lures like this that are a little bit more translucent, they act like a disco ball. They pipe the sunlight down into the water, and so in addition to having a rattle, they also draw on a strike visually. There's 2 of these lures that have single inline hooks. I pretty much do not use single inline hooks unless I have to deal with floating seagrasses. So I don't do single inline hooks. I don't like the hookup ratio at all. My preference is a crushed barb treble. A crushed barb treble way outfishes a single inline hook. So I only use these when I have a ton of floating grass, but I really want to take advantage of topwater. The last point I'm going to make on topwater, 2 points actually. One is the line time. So you'll notice most of these that have a clipped off line tie, they're using a cray loop. The cray loop gives you a degree of freedom that helps walking, but that isn't something that you have to worry about consistently. In fact, sometimes if you have a larger loop, or you have a heavier mono, or you have a large front hook, you can conflict and get a tangle between that hook and that line. And a clinch knot will actually do really well. It'll still walk the lure just fine, but a clinch knot will actually do a better job of deconflicting the hook with the leader. So don't sleep on the clinch knot if you're having trouble in that way. And the last point is, you'll notice these are the popper style. Now these are popper mullets technically. There's other popper style like the Pop-R and others, and so what you get with this lure is it will still walk. If you pull on this lure and you give it feedback slack into the line by moving your rod tip towards the lure in a rhythmic fashion, it will walk, but it'll also pop and chug and blow water, and that's actually beneficial for when you are fishing with scope in your line. I'm an artificial fisherman. I tend to fish along at a 1/2 mile an hour to 3/4 mile an hour, sometimes even 1 mile an hour if I'm really covering a lot of water that day. And sometimes you have a fast flowing current where you don't get to control the rate in which the lure approaches you. And if you get a big belly in the line, you can't walk it consistently. With a popping lure, you just need to pull on that lure, and then you can be winding in your slack without caring about whether or not there's a bow in the line, and fish will attack that lure both when it's moving and also when it's stationary. Even these walking lures, I catch quite a few fish when the lure is stationary while I'm actually fidgeting with the trolling motor or something. So that's about it for the walking lures.
There he is again. Son of a gun, man.
Figure it out, fish.
Right. There he is. There he is. He came up for that one.
Yeah. Here I am lollygagging. A red.
It's a red, I'm sure.
Behaving like a red. He's a good one.
Yeah, he came up and smacked the living snot out of it. Hang on.
Yeah, what you got? Oh, he's got you around a weed. Oh, that's a nice red. Beautiful red. Beautiful red. Where the hell did that go? Beautiful red. Here you go. Uh-oh. Trolling motor. That's going to be a pushing 30. On the net, you got you around a kelp. Nice word. Topwater red. No, you're good. Here, I got him. That should be my red. The way he's sloppy did that. Wow, that water is dark.
That's a nice fish.
Yeah, he's gonna be 20.
That's a nice fish. That's more than 20 minutes. He's wide.
He just figured out he's hooked.
Yep. Saw the boat.
Saw the boat and said, "That's not for me, is it?" Okay, come on up, dog. Here he comes. Oh, there he goes. Trying to make sure I don't hook the.
Under the boat like a.
Make sure I don't hook the rub rail.
Like a good red does.
Yeah. I want to be anywhere but here.
Dude, that's
I want to be
fish.
anywhere but here.
That's a nice fish, man.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm slow, but I'm productive. So now we want to position ourselves for what I'm calling phase 2. You can still throw topwater all day, and I do in specific rugged, shallow settings. But what I'm experiencing lately is that as the sun comes up, the fish are now heading to the bottom, and they're pretty much staying close to bottom. They're looking for cooler, more oxygenated water. Now this is normally where I would throw a twitch bait. If you look at my video library, I'm a huge fan of suspending twitch bait and have done a number of how-tos for the Mirror Lure Mirrodine suspending twitch baits. But lately I've seen this transition, starting in late April through mid-May, where it becomes less effective because the fish just aren't willing to come up towards the surface to attack that bait. I definitely have seen transition from catching more and more fish on suspending twitch baits in early April to catching fish with that bottom-hugging jerk shad in May and June. Here, the clear winner is the jerk shad. I chose to rig the jerk shad on an 1/8 ounce rigging hook. I work it around rocks. I work it around smaller. My challenge though, I don't often, oops, got you that time, brother man. That's a big old trout. Holy cats.
Wow.
Look at the side of that trout.
That's a big one.
That's a chunky monkey. What are the trout doing in the redfish hole?
I don't know. That's a big fish.
Bro got some shoulders. I saw him go sideways on me and he was like, look at that platinum flank.
Yeah.
That's got to be like our 4th or 5th trout over 19.
Yeah, that's a nice fish. You know they're big when they pull drag and they stay on the bottom. Nice. I'm glad I could be here to net.
That's what I was doing this morning.
That's a big fish.
That's a dunker. All right, so that brings us to the second punch in the 1-2 punch, and that is the jerk shad, the lowly jerk shad, which right now is your best friend, because when these fish start heading into lower water column territory, you are going to want to follow them, and you're going to want to be low and slow and let the fish be able to approach this lure. So I'm going to go through a couple things with rigging. Rigging is actually important with these, less so than top water. Is pretty much a couple only ways to do it. Now these are jig heads. I don't typically use jig heads. I seldom, if ever, use jig heads. Good on you if you use jig heads. I deal with a lot of floating grass. I deal with a lot of lush grass. I deal with a lot of lunar limestone surfaces. And so those tend to hang me up. I am a big fan of the rigging hook. So these two will be in the giveaway, and one of them is the Haas Helix rigging hook, very similar. In fact, I think this is a Haas Helix. If not, it's a owner twist lock. Very similar configurations. So what you got here, these work really well with your plastisol / PVC lures. And then you have the chin locks type or pro bullet weights. I am a huge fan of the pro bullet weights. I know people shy away from these because they're a little bit expensive, but I'll say this, I lose less of them. So they're more expensive, but they actually are more streamlined. They have a fixed jig head, unlike a football type or a shaky head jig head, and they're very streamlined in relation to the bait that you're using. So here's an example, and I use these principally with Z-Man products because obviously they work the best with chin lock. They go through the material, which the twist lock doesn't. It simply contacts the head of the material so it doesn't tear it. So very versatile for plastisols, and this is very versatile towards working with Z-Man Elastec products, which I am a huge fan of, especially the 5-inch jerk shad. This is money. One, it's very much durable against any of these pesky bait fish or, you know, the classic puffers. I don't worry too much about puffers, but, you know, a half hour of fishing with one of these things, you know, with a product that can't handle the abuse of even pinfish, you will start losing appendages and get shredded, and it will get dinged up and cut up to the point where it won't run straight. So running straight is actually critically important for the jerk shad family of lures. You don't want it to be helicoptering, or you don't want, even this one here is kind of worn out where there's quite a bit of a gap between the head of the fixed weight, and there's also a gap between the chin lock. So this lure is actually ready to be thrown away, and you can save it for a pinch, but it's going to pick up weeds because it has these gaps. When you rig these, you want to rig them in such a way that they do not have any gaps. So I'll give you an example. I'll take this one here, and then I'm going to take an 1/8 ounce pro bullet weights. You can come in 3/16 ounce, 1/8 ounce, and they come in 1/4 ounce and 3/8 ounce. I catch probably 90% of my fish in less than 3 feet of water, so the 1/8 ounce is the way to go. So you're going to take this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one other thing here, which is actually, here they are. These are bait pegs. Very important piece of material for using when you use jerk shads or paddle tails. I'll put a link to the description of these where you can get these online. And basically with a bait peg, you're going to run the hook through the hole, very similar to a bobber stopper, but it works on your lure. There you go. We're going to run it on around. This fits very snugly on the lure, on the hook, excuse me. And so for Elastec chin lock, you're going to go through this, through the chin. You want to be extra careful for this to be straight. That has to come out the chin of that hook super straight. It's gonna go over all this stuff. It's Elastec, don't worry about it. Wouldn't want to do this with anything else, but you'll notice now, because this is a fresh setup, you've got a very snug, no gap connection between the head of that lure and the head of that bait. And you have no gap between the chin of that lure and the chin lock. This is not going to get weeds. So you're going to look at where that's going to lie and come out. And then you're going, this hook is a little small for this 5-inch. This is really more for probably a 3-inch. There you go. Lays flat as can be. Now you can take that bait peg, slide it down with your fingernail, and peg that hook. So now you're going to work flawlessly in the water, and you're going to not helicopter. You're going to keep that hook held tight with the bait peg, but a fish crunching down on it will bust through that bait peg in no time at all. So I'm a big fan of the Pro Bullet weights. If you're going to use a plastisol bait, there are times I love plastisol in the winter time where you can really land a small unit and get a good casting distance in the wind, because plastisol typically can penetrate the wind a little bit better. And I like that a lot. So that's going to use a twist lock. You've got a center pin. You want to go for the Haas Helix or the Owner twist lock with a corkscrew based center pin. The center pin aligns it, but the fact that this is not going to pop onto the eye, but it's actually going to corkscrew onto the eye, means it's not going to ever tangle up with your loop knot. There are aftermarket clips that just clip on. I've tried them. I don't like them because they tangle up with the loop knot. So once you get that on there and you make sure that lays in there straight, same thing, put your bait pin, your bait peg on, get that to where it lays in there straight. There you go. And then figure out where it's going to pop out the back and push it through, and make sure it comes out the back super straight. Now take your fingernail and run your bait peg, your hook peg. There you go. That's going to work fine, last a long time, not going to come out. Not going to, and you can actually peg it even tighter and it'll actually hold that hook. You can skin hook these things, but pegging it will also keep that from being caught up with grass, because it's going to hold that firmly up against that hook, firmly up against the back of that lure. So the key thing with these things at this time, when you see that sun start to rise, again, where I'm generalizing it to around 9:30 on up to when you're going to get off the water, 11:30, 12 o'clock, you move to this. You can still throw top water, but you move to this, and when you cast this, you give it a good 10 seconds to find bottom. And then and I'll show you in one of the videos, you just hop that rod tip so that you just hold bottom. You want to come 6 to 10 inches off the bottom. You don't want to be racing this thing back at the top of the water like you would a paddle tail. You want to be slow and low and holding bottom and following that bottom contour. Every time these birds fly, you see schools of mullet light up. Oh, I just cast into a bird. No, don't do that. Hook mullet. Ooh, nice flounder.
Wow, yeah.
Thought it was a chewy bite, not a strikey bite.
Good to see them back again.
Oh man, I've caught more flounder this year than any other year. Hey, 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 hey. No, I got it. I don't need a hand, I need a brain.
You had a snook and come back in full force.
Oh man. Dude, that's a flatty boom balatty. Get up out of my boat, brother man. There he is. Don't get your head up. There you go, bro. That's a chunker. We got a 17 out of haul over. Dude, I wasn't going to keep fish, but I might. I didn't have ice last time. That's good eats right there. Got smacked. Smacked and whacked. Oh, dude, that's almost 19.
Wow.
And I really hope you enjoyed the episode and learned a lot from it. And I'd love to have your feedback, like, subscribe, comment, and share the video, of course. But don't forget to sign up by subscribing for the drawing and the giveaway. But these techniques have actually been working, and I've transitioned from ones that I really like to use to do these techniques, and they've actually been working and working well for us over the last, probably say the early part of May all the way through June and July. And they're just tried and true, but sometimes simpler is better, and these just focus on being simple.